Hello and welcome to a brand new installment of Nintendo News Report for Saturday, November 25th, 2017. I'm Alex Coffey, joined today for a very short, very quick little two-man show with Mr. Donald Terrio from Canada. Hello.
Hello. Some of our other guests are scattered to the winds. I hope Neil had a better time at Disney World than I did.
Yeah, he's there right now, isn't he?
Yeah, probably taking in a Star Wars show right now.
Yeah, is that thing live yet? No, definitely not.
They do have stuff like Star Tours in the Hollywood in one of the resorts. I forget which one it is though.
Okay. That's a good little way to spend this weekend.
Yeah,
Um,
hanging out with a 2-year-old cousin.
yeah, good for him. This is going to be a shorter show for two reasons. One, because it was very hard to even mobilize us two on this holiday week. And I have stubbornly attached myself to the idea that Nintendo News Report does not miss a week. Um, the other reason is that there wasn't that much news this week in general. So there won't be that much to talk about. I will be keeping an eye on the chat. So if you have anything to say or ask, Donald and I will be more than welcome. Let me see here. The big story is Splatoon 2. Two major updates are coming out. The free update came out on November 23rd that added 4 new battle stages, Mako Mart, which is a superstore style thing. The remaining 3 are Schellendorf Institute, Wally Warehouse, and Arowana Mall, which will all be rolled out over the subsequent weeks after. Wally Warehouse and Arowana Mall, are those new to this game?
They're new to Splatoon 2, but those are returning maps from the first game.
And what
Like
about Schellendorf?
Schellendorf, I believe, is brand new.
Okay.
I never really got used to Arowana Mall, but I put a fair bit of time in a warehouse through various Splatfests, and okay, cool. Nice to have it back. But once they
Yeah.
got, yeah, once they got Kelp Dome in there, that was pretty much the last map I wanted from the first game.
Mm. New Salmon Run stage, Salmonid Smoke Yard is added to the Salmon Run rotation. Features, among other things, 2 upper platforms that are traversed using fan lifts. There's new gear, approximately 140 pieces of gear being added. Uh, and I'm guessing, and it seems like your news story is attesting to the fact that a lot of that is from the original Splatoon.
Yeah, a lot of the. Actually, that was I think that was David Lloyd that wrote that for us because I was in transit to work at that point. But yeah, there's a lot of returning gear from the first game, plus some new stuff that'll be rolling out and rolling into stores near you over the next few weeks.
Mm, very nice. New battle music. 2 new bands will be contributing both classically based and punk rock inspired tracks. New hairstyles, female and male. 2 new hairstyles each. New amiibo functionality. Tapping amiibo after the update will allow players to share in-game photos in preset location inside the battle arenas. These photos will have the option to have filters applied, almost Super Mario Odyssey style, but it seems like it's a little more basic than that.
Yeah, it's a pretty basic photo mode. Although I'm surprised this Splatoon 2 was one of the first ones that got the video recording. So I suppose they couldn't really do much more with sharing on that game.
Mm. Yeah. Higher level caps too. Players are maxed out at 50. After the update, the maximum level will be 99. Once a player has reached the maximum level, an option to talk to Judd is made available to display a level star one so that they can continue to gain levels, aka prestiging. There's also gear swapping. Yeah.
Yeah, gear swapping in the lobby, which is something that's normally active during Splatfest, but now available full time. And the prestiging kind of scares me because I'm only like level 17.
Mm.
But I
Mm.
also like missed the last Splatfest because I wasn't feeling well on the day of, as you probably saw if you saw last week's show. So yeah,
Yeah. All of this is in the November 23rd update. Yes? Or what's the December one?
because I could have sworn that I think most of those features are in there. I think just some additional stages and things might be coming down in December, but yeah, I just need to pull this in. Oh,
Yeah.
the December one's going to add a new ranked mode,
Clam Blitz.
Clam Blitz. Yeah,
Yep. picking up clams around the stage and trying to throw them into an opponent's basket. First team that manages to fill an opponent's basket with 100 clams is the victor. It's a cute little mode for Splatoon, adding to the fire that Arms is getting drowned out by Splatoon. Definitively, it feels like.
Yeah,
Like Arms just put out a decently, or there is either plans for a new update or they just put out a new update with
they
like
just
their own Splatfest, basically, right?
yeah they had a new character. They had some sort of, I forget what the name of the competition was, but there was seemed like a character ballot actually. The Springman ended up winning.
Mm. It Yeah, it seems like the Arms does not necessarily have the audience that Splatoon does, which shouldn't surprise me. But it seems like it's I don't know, is the audience there? If you're in the chat, feel free to tell me if if you're playing Arms still, because I'm curious, because I haven't been hungry to play Arms, and based on the way Nintendo's updating these games, I'm curious if many other people are playing Arms.
It seems like it's still got a small but mighty user base, but I think Nintendo had set plans into motion, thinking maybe this would be a slightly bigger hit than it was.
Mm.
So they're going to roll those out, but we might see Arms on more of a Splatoon 1 schedule where this stuff seems to drop off, especially after, say, Evo next year.
Right, right. Flamin' Ashes asks any Black Friday pickups. Donald, go ahead.
Okay, so with all the Black Friday sales, I was setting my money aside. I'm probably going to dive into the big Nintendo digital sale after I get paid this week, because it's on until the 11th of December. But I did grab Seventh Dragon because that was the last game from the 3DS games that I lost earlier this year, and it finally went on a big sale. Actually, it was half off, so I was finally able to get that back. And on the Sony side, I picked up Yakuza 0 for $40.
$40? Oh wait, no, that's Canada because it's 30 in
30
reg.
US, yeah.
Yeah, 30 US. You haven't played that yet because you've been busy and sick as heck.
Yeah, it's been a very exhausting week, and I still have two somewhat larger games that I need to have at least put a decent amount of time into by, say, next Saturday, for
Mm.
reasons we'll get into later. But I did, because Yakuza 0 and I think Tales of Berseria were sort of the last games aside from Xenoblade 2 that I wanted to get before Game of the Year.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. So it was a relatively light Black Friday so far. Although you're looking to correct that on the Nintendo sale in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, looking at the sale, it's mostly 3DS stuff that I realistically already own.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I might dig into some of the smaller stuff. Maybe I might take a flyer on Bomberman, although it's hard to say I'm taking a flyer on a game when it's still $56.
Yeah, the prices aren't very strong in the sale. Like it seems like the physical versions of these games are all getting discounted far more than the digital version on the eShop.
That seems to be the case a lot of places this year. A lot of the deals that I've seen for even on the Sony side are pretty much, the physical side is better for those, which it's kind of surprising. But I mean, I suppose if you're one of those people who is all digital on your systems, then it works out in the end for you.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what I got. I bought Resident Evil 7 at Target for $15, which I feel is a very nice deal. I have a PSVR too, and I was looking to pull a Patrick Klepek and play the entirety of that game in VR. I'm currently 8 minutes in, so we'll see how far I can make that. I got Injustice 2 on the PlayStation Network sale on PS4. That was $20.
Just
I
in time for the Ninja Turtles.
just in time for the Ninja Turtles, and it seems like they're adding all four in the third combat pack, which is cool. I was never a Ninja Turtles guy because I'm like too young for your generation's Ninja Turtles and too old for the younger generation's Ninja Turtles. So I don't really have that much to work with. But It is very cool. I am very interested in Hellboy, who's also one of the DLC packs. But yeah, $20 for that one. I got Comedy Night on Steam for $3.75, which is that's a Steam game, and you can see it on YouTube, where basically you can do stand up for an audience of people who also own the game Comedy Night, and then you can be an audience member to people. So basically, everyone has their microphone on, and it's a comedy club in the Steam game, and it's a really interesting time, and it's one of the most engaging game ideas I've seen in some time. It's the lobbies aren't very full, but I think it's a super cool idea.
I could easily see that turning into a rap battle very quickly.
Oh, those options exist. There's rap battles, there's slam poetry, there's trivia, there's music. It's it's pretty impressive. Granted, the player base is not that enormous anymore. I think it used to be bigger, but it's still real cool. And then I bought at Target a 25 for $25. I got one of those super fancy Sonic hair toothbrushes. The 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 fancy schmancy ones that'll turn off after 2 minutes of brushing. You know those. I also got one of the Echo Dots from Amazon, which are $30 right now, which is the lowest price they've been. Hold on, I want to try something. Alexa, say hello.
Hello.
Nice. That's pretty
So
cool so far.
so you just triggered if there's any Alexas in the sound of your voice, you just triggered them. And oh crap, I just triggered them.
Yeah.
Like, every podcast I know that talks about these things, they always refer to it like Lady A or something.
Lady A.
Yeah.
This thing is super fancy. It's amazing that this thing's $30 because before you use one of these things, you just assume it doesn't work. That's the way all these voice assistants are. Until you actually come face to face with talking to one of these things, you assume it doesn't work. But it's picked up every single voice command, and if nothing else, like it knows how to detect my voice correctly. The only problems come in like one in every 10 times it doesn't know how to respond to what I'm saying, so I need to like change my wording slightly. So one thing I did today was I listened to the new Giant Bombcast, and I had to say, Lady A, play the Giant Bombcast's most recent episode. And then I had to play with the wording a little bit, but she did understand me relatively quickly. What's also good for it is like if you need like an ambient sound, or you need like an alarm, or you need to know the weather or the news, or you need to just like play jazz in the background, like the Alexa is very good with that thing. But that's beside the point. Anyways,
Yeah, I think the only other thing that might have fallen under the realm of a Black Friday sale was that I got a pack of the old You Don't Know Jack games, like the ones pre Jackbox.
oh yeah,
Like we're talking like the late 90s into 2000s one. Um, was basically $10. It was 50% off for like 8 or 9 games.
that's on Good Old Games, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that was on a GOG sale. It was like 50% off, or actually it was on Humble because I got a Humble code for it.
Nice. Okay. Remus says, never got ARMS. Demo's okay, but didn't grab me like Splatoon had. That is the impression a lot of people had. I think ARMS is more basic. I have hopes for ARMS 2. I have some faith that they're Nintendo. They normally figure this stuff out eventually. Flaming Ashes says, I managed to get a retail price female Corrin amiibo, Fire Emblem Warriors limited edition, for €42, and importing US Batman Telltale for €23, or £23, excuse me.
Yeah, that was a pretty disgusting deal on on Telltale Batman, considering it came out like a week ago.
Yeah, but it's also season one. Like it's a little less weird because the season one of Telltale Batman came out what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. But still some strong deals. Max Maurer says no interest in ARMS or 1v1 games compared to Splatoon's 4v4 or 4 co-op. Yep. Okay. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp opened worldwide this week, and it's everywhere. It opened up a day early. It's pretty easy for you to get the premium currency right now, but if it's anything like when I played the Australian version a few weeks ago, that currency has a tendency to dry up fairly quick. Donald has not been playing it. Uh, Valid.
Yeah, I mean, I have enough Nintendo mobile games taking up my time right now, and there's actually going to be a pretty big update to Heroes next week. That's going to add a lot of interesting things, but yeah, between that and my general apathy for Animal Crossing in general, I've never been able to get into those games. I'm probably just going to pass on this one.
Which is valid. I mean, Nintendo. There's been a lot of Nintendo adjacent mobile games over the years between all the Pokemon ones that happened before Nintendo's mobile initiative. You got the Pokemon Shuffles of the world. Then you also have Fire Emblem Warriors, and then you have Mario Run, and then you have this, and then you have Mitomo. It stands to reason that eventually one of these won't appeal to you, probably. But also one of them will. Like it seems like Nintendo's getting like a decent shotgun spread of genres and Nintendo games. It seems like Zelda might be the next one. Like that might be the word.
That was the word that came up from sources like the Wall Street Journal a few months ago that it would go Animal Crossing then Zelda, but we probably won't see that until probably about the anniversary of Breath of the Wild, honestly, at this rate.
Yeah. No, it'll probably be spring because they went from like 5 mobile games in their first year to 2 games a year, basically.
Yeah, and they didn't even hit like they did Mitomo and Mario Run in 2016. Then I suppose if you want to count Mario Run coming out on Android, they've done 3 this year, and they'll probably do 2 or 3 next year.
I think 2 will count as each one. December 7th for the Game Awards. I was just curious. I was thinking about it because I was like, when could they reveal such a thing? I'm guessing the Zelda DLC is what Nintendo's going to save for the Game Awards.
Yeah, we'll probably get a release date around that time. And apparently, there's also going to be a sale around the Game Awards. But aside from that, and Shovel Knight, and maybe finding out if some of this new Telltale stuff is coming to Switch, I'm not expecting much out of the Keighleys this year.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anything for us as Nintendo fans. At least I'm sure Sony. Actually, no, Sony won't put out something because they have PSX. Telltale might have a new thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time when Telltale tends to, like Telltale did what, Batman and Minecraft Season 2 last year.
Batman season 2 is happening now.
Yeah,
Minecraft season 2 is happening now. Minecraft did season 1 over the course of like a season and a half, kind of. It seemed like.
yeah, there was like 8 episodes or something crazy like that. I'm just thinking of when these were announced, like because I'm pretty sure that they
Oh,
announced 2 games last year, and also last year they did Shovel Knight, so we might get the final date or window for the expansion, which probably be March based on Yacht Club's history with this.
that's fair. What I will say about Telltale is that they did put out their own Nintendo Direct earlier this year, where they announced Batman season 2, maybe Minecraft season 2, and also The Wolf Among Us season 2, and The Walking Dead final season 4. Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us are both slated for next year, which makes me wonder what the capacity for Telltale would be. So maybe it won't be that.
Well, they just cleaved 25% of that capacity away when they laid off that big chunk of their staff.
Right.
Uh, Although they're apparently also focusing on new technology, so maybe they're finally taking that engine out back that caused some issues with pretty much every game they've produced in the last 5 years and shooting it in the head.
Mm. Flaming Ashes asked, do we know what the big Switch January releases are yet? Is there a big Switch January release?
Right now the only first party game we have a definitive window for in 2018 for Switch is Kirby, and that's spring. So I would think I would suspect we might get one more direct this we'd have to get one more direct this month, or at least something PR related, or they're probably going to have like a couple of months off to recharge the batteries before they go firing again in February.
In the same way that Mario counted as Nintendo's super internal game for kind of October and November, although Skyrim half counts, but it's also the holiday season. I think um I think Xenoblade Nintendo was planning on Xenoblade carrying people from December into January.
Yeah.
And I think the next Nintendo game we're going to see will probably be late February. And I'm betting it's going to be either Kirby or Yoshi, with the other one being in March or April.
Hmm. I wonder if they'd run the platformers that close together, though.
What
Especially
other
since
games?
at least in North America, they've got Kirby coming out in January. There's a
North
Kirby.
Am- Oh, because 3DS Kirby's in January.
Yeah.
What other Switch games does Nintendo have coming in the early part of next year?
Potentially Fire Emblem, but we haven't seen a thing about that aside from a logo since it got announced in February.
Fire
So
Emblem's not going to be early next year.
no.
No.
And they still and well, I mean, between Xenoblade and the Zelda DLC, that would probably cover December pretty well, but yeah. I think they're probably just going to take, as far as first party stuff goes, they're probably going to take January off and maybe do something early in February, which I don't know, could be Kirby, could be Yoshi.
Hmm. Hopefully, the Switch Online strategy we hear about in January, Max says, which I agree with.
I'm surprised we're not going to hear about that this month, but I
Yeah.
suppose I suppose at this point, anything that could distract from Switch sales in December might be worth keeping away until after the holidays.
Right. They could theoretically put out Monster. No, they won't put out Monster Hunter because Capcom wants people to focus on the Monster Hunter games coming to Xbox and PS4, and they wouldn't drop that. Maybe Box Boy, like they're looking at Box Boy as like potentially having
Hmm.
an
That
edition.
or Nintendo is publishing Dragon Quest Builders in outside of Japan, so that could be a possibility. Although that I think that was clarified in the last direct as a spring game as well.
Yeah, they can't unless there's another remake coming or some kind of remake coming or re-release. I can't imagine Nintendo announcing a big quote unquote Nintendo AAA game now that comes out in 3 months.
Unless it's yeah, like you said, unless it's a remake. Like maybe they slot Tropical Freeze in there.
Tropical Freeze would be cool. I would love 2-pack if that's a thing.
The
I
original and Tropical.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Reggie, he didn't hint, but he did drop the word Donkey Kong when talking about like the potential for the Switch platform a few months ago. And I really want Monster Games or someone to make a new Donkey Kong game.
Or well, there is that studio in Texas that could be doing it. They've got some experience with Donkey Kong.
I hope not. I think they made two of the finest platformers of the decade, but I think Retro paid their dues to that series. I'm also glad that they're not working on Metroid Prime 4 because they paid their dues to that series too. I want them to do their own thing, or at least a new franchise. I don't know. What if they made the next new Super Mario Bros. Game? That would be something. I'm
That
just
would be a very interesting development, given that I don't think an American team has ever made a Nintendo platform Super Mario Brothers game.
I know. Well, they Pikmin
That's,
4 Flame and Ash is posited as a possibility. Yeah, you're saying?
yeah, although I suppose you could count Mario and Donkey Kong in that, but that's more like a puzzle game anyway, and that was done by NST.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's more like a puzzle game, although it's also the direct series sequel to the original Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
um yeah. It could be any sorts of things. I would guess we have ahead of us Kirby and Yoshi before April, probably maybe Yoshi would make sense in late February and you push Kirby to April because that seems
Yeah.
like it's going to be an actual mainline Kirby, so it might need a little more cooking. Um, and then maybe slot in a remake in there, maybe Dragon Quest Builders. That'll probably make for the first part of the year. I bet Nintendo had to shift a bunch of stuff around for them to actually make the first year as strong as it is. And part of me wonders if the second year is going to be slower than the first.
But they still have the momentum, and they can still push things like Fire Emblem Warriors and Xenoblade because they're still going to have content coming out as well.
Yeah. And there's going to be DLC and all this stuff. I'm sure Nintendo feels very confident right now. The Switch is in a very good place financially. I saw a ton of them for sale on Black Friday because I went to Best Buy this morning, and I also went to Target yesterday, and there were Switches everywhere. Which can either be a bad thing because no one's buying them, or good because they're sold front and center. I'm sure Switch is going to be the best-selling platform for another month. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, as we said, that open worldwide. I talked about it on last week's show. I think it's the closest to the game. It represents Animal Crossing better than Fire Emblem or Super Mario Run. I felt represented their games, but it's also filling progress bars to fill progress bars in a free-to-play game that sort of relies on its premium currency. So I recommend reading a lot of the reviews that exist on the internet. IGN has a pretty positive one if you're looking for a positive review, or you could just try it. It's a free game. I don't know.
Yeah,
Or not.
as long as your device can support it, which I know there's at least one phone in my apartment that can't run it.
Yeah, yeah. Last game story we have to talk about: Valkyria Chronicles 4 announced for 2018 Switch and PS4 release worldwide,
Yeah,
and Xbox One in America.
and yeah, America and Europe. So yeah, this Sega had put a teaser out for it last week on like last Sunday night, so Monday morning Japan time. And I thought my first thought when I saw it was like, this is probably just gonna be a cell phone game, isn't it? And then they come out and it's like, nope, 10th, we're going to actually observe the 10th anniversary of the series. It's a full sequel, which,
Mm.
given the performance, both I'm assuming sales wise and game quality wise of Valkyria Revolution, I think that qualifies as a minor miracle because I've played Valkyria Revolution and it's the worst game I've played all year that didn't star Toho characters.
Was Toho really that bad?
Yeah, it was ugly. I
Okay.
think that is my lowest reviewed game of the year so far, and I gave it a 3.
That's pretty low, Donald.
Yeah.
Yeah. Valkyria Chronicles. I have the first game. I'm playing it on Steam, or I was playing it on Steam. I last played it on May 16th, and I played it for 3 hours. And my impression was that I did not like the story very much. I thought, or no, it wasn't that I didn't like the story. It was a relatively fine anime story. I think my main problem with it was that there was cutscenes and cutscenes and cutscenes and cutscenes, and I just wanted to play the game. But it kind of I felt the story sort of helped that game move at a snail's pace. What I hear is that the sequel, at least the immediate sequel, has an even worse story
Yeah.
and worse gameplay.
The second one is basically like a high school alternate universe. And the third one, which never came out outside Japan, apparently is a superior version of the first game, but
Mm.
we've never been able to find out. Hoping maybe Sega might double back at some point and put that out on a modern platform that could run it, especially since we've seen the characters from Valkyria Chronicles 3 in English, even though we've never seen the game.
Hmm.
Thank you, Project Crossout.
Yeah. None of these are direct sequels, though. It seems like
No.
it seems like you can play each one as a separate game.
Yeah, each one is a separate part of a separate story being told sort of around the same sort of alternate universe World War II.
Mm. And it seems like 4 is going to have a new protagonist. It's going to take place at a different stage of the war, almost.
Yeah, it seems I think it takes place like a couple years before the first game, chronologically, because I remember this. I think the original game was set in like their version of 1937, and this one's in 35. So it's a couple years. Also, a lot more snow. So I'm kind of getting I Am Setsuna flashbacks, but hopefully it won't be that bad.
It's sick that this game is on Switch.
Yeah, and and I'm impressed that it's running Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. But I'm kind of surprised it didn't come to PC. In all honesty.
Yeah, me too. And I think there's still a place for it because it seems like Sega games end up coming to PC just later. Um, yeah, and I'm like slightly surprised it's coming to Switch, but I think it's absolutely awesome that it is. Maybe I'll go back and try to beat Valkyria Chronicles. Have it? You beat the first one, right?
I put a fair bit of time into the first one, but I've never actually finished the job. I've got it on 3 platforms now, so I don't really have an excuse.
Yeah, yeah. It's that game's what, 20 hours long?
20, 25,
Okay.
if you skip the cutscenes, I guess.
I don't, but I don't know, maybe I should. I always have a thing about skipping cutscenes. We have a couple questions in the chat before we cap off the show. DevBird1 question: has Fire Emblem surpassed Metroid and become an A-tier franchise? Yes.
Yes. If only because of how much money they're making off that game,
Yeah.
off of Heroes especially.
Yeah, people like Fire Emblem now. It's like Fire Emblem did to the West what Monster Hunter always wanted to do to the West. Or at least I feel that's the case. Where Monster Hunter has always wanted to hit like a much broader niche than it had been previously. And it seems like Fire Emblem managed to hit the audience, or not the exact audience that Monster Hunter wanted to, but hit its audience in the same way that Monster Hunter wanted to. And I think Monster Hunter World is going to attempt to do, and probably succeed at, in a month or two.
Yeah, I mean, Shadows of Valentia at last report still hadn't sold a million, so that might be considered a step back for it. But it's also a 3DS game that came out after the Switch did, and the Switch had a clear damaging effect on 3DS game sales. So I don't think they're going to hold it against it.
Yeah, it's also a remake, and it didn't have as compelling a pitch as I thought Fates and Awakening did.
Are you saying we need more of a waifu simulator?
Like, I know you're joking, but also I think the waifu simulator, or at least the combination of ingredients that we jokingly or semi-jokingly call a waifu simulator, is the magic Fire Emblem ingredients. Because Fire Emblem never broke much ground like before, and now that it has the story that it does, and now that it allows you to pair characters up and marry characters together, and because it has good looking female character designs, and because it's also excellent strategy gameplay that can hit a broad audience, like I totally think that's an ingredient that makes it much more successful in Metroid.
Yeah. So now we're gonna have the Metroid fans and the old school Fire Emblem fans mad at us. Thankfully, there's
Yeah,
not many of them. I think we can take them.
I like old school Fire Emblem. Or I I don't know about old school. Old school. I haven't played much of that, but I did play and love Sacred Stones. I would actually call it one of the most positive experiences I've had with the Fire Emblem series. But if you ask me why Fire Emblem maintained its popularity and grew its popularity, and why it has surpassed Metroid in popularity, better waifus that hit today's waifu audience and not 2005's waifu audience. And it's the right combination of ingredients that hits a very specific yet much broader than previous audience. I don't know. But
Mhm.
yeah. Fire Emblem, so is the Fire Emblem Echoes remake series on hold? Probably not.
Yeah, like I said, that I don't think the performance of Echo, the first Echoes game, is going to be held against it just because of when it happened to come out.
Right, right. Yep, it seems like that is everything we have to talk about tonight. So thank you so much for listening to the newest installment of Nintendo News Report. Get us on iTunes. Look up Nintendo News Report. We have over 50 episodes now.
And don't mention the fact that Sonic is now in Sonic Forces.
Oh, but we kind of have to now because that tweet was amazing. That when I saw that today, the tweet wasn't amazing, but when I saw the official Sonic the Hedgehog account tweet the fact that the Sonic meme is now an official free T-shirt. Yeah, that's incredible. I kind of like it when like PR firms pick up memes, and I don't know why, because it's disgusting that I like that. But there's something that gels with me. It's the same thing as like I love the Arby's Twitter, even though it's nerdy in the exact same way, and I know it's like it's a few gamers and like a big social media team who are appealing to a very specific audience. Like I know what they're doing and I know I'm falling for it.
Like
But I
what?
love that shit.
I wonder if there's anybody on Twitter who's following Arby's and is wondering just what the blue hell is Danganronpa?
Following Arby's, yes. Because I'm guessing that following people who follow Arby's is everything from Arby's employees to people who network with Arby's people to other fast food social media teams. But I bet Arby's has built a massive following from this sort of niche of its. Like I think hitting anime and hitting weeb games the way that Arby's does, but and being able to do so with like genuine heart, I think, has built it our audience, I'd say. Not the Nintendo audience literally, but I mean like the you and I audience, Donald.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think that generally people who follow Arby's now know what to expect because people would follow Chipotle because they want the funny tweets, and they follow Taco Bell because they want the funny tweets, even though that it's considered extremely tame by modern standards of social media campaigning, which is like it's been 3 years since then. And now you're just picking your poison. I would say the two best social media accounts for fast food companies are Arby's, at least for my purposes, and Savage Wendy's.
Yes.
Did you see the one on Black Friday where McDonald's did the faux pas? I'm pulling it up on my Twitter now.
The insert text here and Wendy's, and yeah, I saw the Wendy's tweet about it.
Oh no, I got it. So McDonald's said Black Friday asterisk 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 need copy and link. So the implication is that McDonald's social media people forgot to paste in the copy when they were pre-scheduling their Black Friday tweet, and something must have snuck through. And then their response to it was, when you tweet before your first cup of McCafe, quote dot dot dot, nothing comes before coffee, with a cute little corporate gif. Although I think it's silly as hell that they decided to leave that up and then do a very safe social media tweet after that. Wendy's quoted McDonald's tweet and wrote, when the tweets are as broken as the ice cream machine.
Oh,
That's some shade right there, Donald. That's some shade.
shade.
You savage girl. Yeah, that's our show for this week. I'm going to direct people to two things before we close it off. First, I would direct you to our reviews on NintendoWorldReport.com. Actually, three things I need to tell you about. Our reviews page on NintendoWorldReport.com. We have some new reviews, including the Switch version of Rocket League by Jared Rosenberg, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 by Matt West, Monopoly for Nintendo Switch by Don Koopman, Super Beat Sonic by our very own Donald Terrio, Stick It to the Man in Violet by Xander Morningstar, Don Koopman with Style Savvy Styling Star on 3DS, which he reviewed very highly. Sonic Forces on Switch by Jared Rosenberg, which Jared seemed to have more or less positive things to say about that game. So if you want a positive review of that, my Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon review finally went up on the 22nd, so you can read that. And then the last one I'm gonna plug is Jared Rosenberg's Super Beat Sports, the new Harmonix game. He reviewed that one. So lots of good reviews on NintendoWorldReport.com. I would also direct you to our Patreon, patreon.com/NWR. Support the site that supports the show. But if you're in a giving mood and you're choosing what to give money to, especially in this charity-driven holiday, might I recommend donating to the NWR 8th Annual Live Podcast Telethon for Child's Play. We have raised $595.27 of our $4,000 goal. It's going to be happening on December 2nd, starting at 11:30 Eastern. in the morning, and we are going to have about a dozen segments running from 11:30 a.m. to roughly 12 a.m. or even slightly past that. We'll see. Over 12 hours of content planned, and Donald and I, and at least one special guest. I have an amazing one lined up, but we're still trying to see if we can secure him before actually announcing it. Otherwise, I have another person or two that I'm looking to talk to. Anyways, it's going to be the Nintendo News Report presents Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon Postmortem with special guests. That's happening at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And I played through that whole game. Donald will have played through at least a lot of it. And if we get the guy who we want to, you're going to be getting probably the most qualified Pokemon expert on the internet, if we can get him. If we can't get him, I'm looking to get a professional player in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anything to add, Don?
Well, I'll also be on a couple things about the telethon. One, we have someone who has already stated publicly that he will match any donation to the telethon through Friday. So we are over $1,000 technically right now. It just hasn't hit the board yet. So that means that I will be talking about wrestling games with Frightful.com and former Wrestling Observer contributor Brian Rose, who's also our reviews editor, and some other special guests from the sport of professional wrestling as we talk about the history of wrestling games on Nintendo systems. And later on, if we unlock it, I will be talking about Terranigma, the lost Super Nintendo classic, with my friends from No Free Time Radio.
Very nice. Very nice. And that will do it. So follow Donald at Donald Mick, DonaldMick. Follow his podcast at NFR Podcast on Twitter, or No Free Time Radio. You can look that up on iTunes or your podcast player of choice. And then you can subscribe to Nintendo News Report on iTunes or Google Play or RSS feed. And hey, follow me on Twitter if you want, at Kulafia, Culafia. That is our show. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
And stay tuned for Rocket League and Mario Odyssey across this YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, John Reardon's up next. Don't go anywhere. Bye.